Good morning. Welcome back to 1160 AM KBDT News Talk Sports. We're JP, Kathy, and the crew. It is currently 8:34 AM here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Quick weather update, Kathy, for all of us out here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Cold today and sunny, a high of 51. Hard freeze tonight, low of 32.
Your quick traffic report with SignalAlert.com. Be aware that, in fact, there are a few accidents out there on the highways. Be careful on I-20. Be careful near MacArthur 183. Please be careful along US 75 and LBJ in Garland. Accidents still clearing up on the road. All right. We are very fortunate today. We have, of course, something for Kelly Foundation and the Morgan Foundation in studio with us. Good morning, Patty, and good morning, Steve.
Good morning. Good to have you here.
Morning, John.
Well, I'll tell you what, the holidays are upon us, and there's a lot to talk about when it comes to mental health. Isn't that the truth?
Yes, absolutely.
And so we are here with the Mental Health Moment, as always, on Tuesdays at 8:34. I want to thank Acadia for their sponsorship and seeing the importance of really bringing you valuable information in regards to mental health and how you may be able to address it, attack it, to try to keep it healthy in your household, especially during the holiday season. We've got Diana Lebrun. Is it Lebrun or Lebrun?
It's Lebrun.
Thank you, Diana Lebrun, with us. She is with the tell us again, it's the Refuge, right?
Yes, sir. The Refuge, a healing place. We are in Ocklawaha, Florida.
See, I was going to let you say that. See, the Refuge I can say, but I can't say, okay, Walla, Florida.
That's about it, yes. We're about 94 acres of the Ocala National Forest.
Wow.
It's a beautiful property.
I was about to say, how does your window look?
Yes, your scenery is gorgeous.
Yes, but it also plays a part on my allergies, so but that's the downfall.
I imagine so.
It's a beautiful place out here.
Now, do you have any alligators ever chase you out of the parking lot?
Not out of the parking lot. However, we do have alligators on the property that kind of stay in the low waters, but we do make sure that our clients are aware of that.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
That could add to a whole nother level of mental health. I'll tell you, that could be dangerous.
Absolutely.
Well, we're very fortunate to have you with us this morning. Diana, of course, you are a therapist out at the Refuge, a healing place. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what kind of counseling and therapy you provide. Tell us why it is, hey, why are you an expert and why should we listen today?
Well, we are a dual diagnosis treatment center out here at the Refuge. So what that means is we work with mental health issues along with substance abuse. So basically, we kind of look at the focus of trauma that affects the substance abuse piece of everything. So, and out here, I mean, I love what I do. And I work specifically with, the whole population, but I work a lot with talking to people about changing their perception of things and about their life. I do a lot of mindfulness and a lot of grounding skills to keep clients present.
Diana, hi, this is Steve Dunn, and as John said, thank you for being on the air, and thank you for your service as well. I understand you are an Air Force vet, and you were a dental hygienist in the Air Force. Is that correct?
Actually, I was a dental assistant for 20 years. Yes, sir. I did run a couple of clinics, oral surgery departments and orthodontic departments, and as I said the other day, that I have this cute little joke that I do. I went from dental to mental. So
there you go.
Very good. Well,
she did not just go from dental to mental.
I think she did.
No offense, Diana, but I think you got to be a little mental to be in dental. Stick your hands in
maybe
my
that's where
mouth.
I started my career. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, stick your hands in my mouth. I might bite your finger off.
Now
I mean,
she's sticking her hands in her
That's happened
head.
a few times.
So, Diana, sometimes people are not really diagnosed with a full-on mental problem, but during the holidays, some people are so prone towards pleasing their family, their friends, their loved ones, that can cause a lot of stress and depression because they can't seem to meet up to expectations. Could you speak about pleasing in general and some of the concerns around just doing what works for you?
Well, we try to do so much during the holidays. I mean, to people in general, but during the holidays, we do have that added stress as far as what can I do to help? I'm invited to so many parties. And do I do this? Do I do that? Do I buy a gift? Do I not? What I say, in my opinion, is basically just be who you are. You don't have to participate in everything that you're invited to. Taking care of yourself and knowing what you can and can't do so you don't overstress yourself. I am one for big self-care in order to be able to take care of yourself. Schedule yourself some time, schedule that nail appointment or that hair appointment or even the gym time to be able to take care of yourself.
That's a great point. And I think, you hear that when you're a kid growing up, be yourself. But I think you can't really hear it enough because there's still so many people that struggle with that. Kind of related when you say take care of yourself is spending quality alone time. But could you make a distinction between the quality alone time and feeling lonely, being isolated away from people?
Absolutely. There is a difference between being alone and being lonely. So we talk a lot about being alone and understanding yourself and looking and enjoying yourself and loving yourself first. That's about it being alone and kind of rejuvenating yourself with that alone time. Being lonely is about not being in contact with people. We are, meant to be in contact with people and relations with others, but we also have to be careful on how we do that because wonderful codependency kind of kicks in and we want to do too much for too many people at the detriment of ourselves. So that's, you got to be very, very mindful of that aspect of things because we can overdo it quite frequently, actually.
Diana, there's another issue that tends to plague a lot of folks at this time of the year. And you go out and you see all the beautiful lights on the houses and churches and everything looks so festive. But for many people, they're going through a type of grief at this type of year. For example, I have a good friend who owns an independent treatment center in Birmingham. She had a dog, a great companion for her. And she had to finally put this companion down a few weeks ago. This was almost her best friend. And then you have a number of people, be it in the last year, the last 2 to 3 years, who've had a child or a parent who's no longer with them, and their absence during this month is so profound. How can those people deal with the thoughts of just grief that overwhelms them or can overwhelm them?
Well, grief is very difficult, and especially through the holidays. However, what I like to talk to my clients about is perspective. Looking at the things that you do have as opposed to the things that you don't have. Celebrating the life that the individual gave you or your animal gave you while they were here, as opposed to mourning the loss of them. Yes, I know it's very difficult to not mourn the loss, however, and take your time to grieve. But, again, changing the perspective on what you have available around you and focusing on the good things in your life as opposed to the negative and the things that you don't have.
But what are some things, or where can people go to help them, embrace the possibly the good side of grief, be it church groups or trusted friends? How can a person almost retrain their mind to take that grief and have it become something almost productive for them?
Well, if you're involved with your church, absolutely go to your church groups, to church gatherings. If not, there's local places available that you can volunteer your time. Helping out the homeless or helping out the less fortunate. And, possibly some of those decorations that you had that you shared with your loved one, maybe being able to donate to a family that doesn't have anything, to give them joy, to give them something to look forward to, even in your absence.
Diana, sometimes people have the family dynamic being very challenging and difficult, and more than just the political debate that could easily raise right now. Sometimes people are estranged from family members. How do you advise people when there's so much holiday time and family get-togethers to deal with, well, there's some people in the family I do like, I want to see them, but there's other people I really do not tolerate well. How do we approach that?
Well, depending, if your all family is getting together and you have those people that you like and don't like in one area, you can always make sure that you have your own vehicle to make sure that, when you've, for lack of better words, had enough, that you can actually leave. And being able to set those boundaries for yourself that, if this topic comes up, maybe I don't want to engage in that conversation. Maybe I'll remove myself from the room. Again, that you don't have to participate in everything that you're invited to. I tell my clients, not my circus, not my monkeys, and not try to get involved in things that are going to be toxic for you.
That's great advice. Go ahead, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Another topic we've not addressed yet is the specter of divorce. For many, this might be the first year, maybe the second year after marriage that they thought would last a lifetime, that brought them such joy, for some reason fell apart. So for people who are newly going through a divorce or have just been divorced, what advice would you give to them to bring more joy and happiness into their life at this time of the year?
Well, I guess you can speak on personal experience from that. I was married to my first husband, for 18 years. So the first year after the divorce, it was very difficult because, I had my younger son with me and my older son was living with him. So we had to try to change traditions. Instead of, what we would do together as a family that we would do, we change it up a little bit just to do it with, the boys or, with another family member. So just changing the way that we do things to kind of make it a new thing, a new happiness that we bring to ourselves through that holiday season.
But as for the kids, also, it's such a big change for them. At what point do you say, our children need the consistency of what we did before in the past, so they know that their life will continue on. There can be joy and happiness. If you try to change everything up for them, isn't that likely to spiral them a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely, it could. However, you try to maintain as a wonderful relationship as you can with the ex, and providing that stability for the children and having them have the perception of possibly having two homes to go to during the holiday season and having two families to celebrate with, trying to turn the, perspective around for them and, keep what they can, their ornaments. Like we used to get an ornaments for our children, and each year they would be able to put their ornaments on their tree. So possibly splitting those ornaments and putting half on the tree at mom's house and half on the tree at dad's house.
Very good. And Diana, I know for you individually, and for a lot of folks as well, there's also something special this time of the year that gives them a great amount of comfort and joy, I guess, as the song goes. Tell us about how your faith in Christ and Christianity has helped you, at this time of the year when you have faced adversity.
Just remember what the reason for the season is, to remember that Christ is, the center of all of this, and that he's the one that brings us a hope and joy and, grace and mercy that we need to give ourselves, not only to others, but to ourselves first, and to embrace all of that. And, the society and commercialism of Christian or Christmas is very difficult to deal with. But for me, with my children and my faith, that we put him first and remember that's why we're here.
Okay, and that would apply equally so whether you are Jewish or Muslim or embrace Kabbalah or any type of faith, just to have or believe in a power that's greater than you. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, we don't distinguish here, where we're at between any of those. We could say higher power in quotations, obviously, but having hope in something bigger than you, something out there that can contribute to your life. Without hope, what do we have? What is all this really for? And when we worry about things, worry kind of steals the joy of the day. And, we embrace all of those religions, higher beings, higher powers, whatever the case may be, but to give you some peace and comfort with whatever it is that you choose.
Very good. And we know at this time of the year, the days are short and the nights are longer. And with how people can be a bit more depressed at this time of the year, how do you deal with seasonal affective disorder?
Well, I mean, if are you talking about with the lights and things like that, so that we can have the daylight lights that are placed in your house to be helping with those type of things. In the evening, do something different for yourself. put a different shirt on, you get up and, put some makeup on or lipstick on, or go to a place that you haven't been before, those type of things. Kind of embrace what's around you.
All right, Diana, thank you so much. Stay with us. We're going to continue the conversation through the break. If you want to catch that conversation, you can catch us at Facebook at JP, Kathy, and the crew. Would love for you to have a join us. Also, feel free to call in if you've got something going on in the holidays and you want to ask Diana a question. You can call in at 214-810-8255.
That's 214-810-TALK. Please call in.
Please call in. We'd love to hear from you. We're JP, Kathy, and the crew here at 1160 a.m. KBDT News Talk Sports.
Diana.
That's great, great information you're giving out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Let's talk about this seasonal affective disorder some now. You were talking about people in Alaska, weren't you, when we were talking yesterday, or how it impacted you yourself?
Oh, absolutely. I had an opportunity to go visit my brother that lives out in Anchorage, a couple of years ago, and this was just during the May time frame. But, during the time frame when it's really dark, they do sell the light bulbs that are in the houses that you can create daylight to kind of create that, regular cycle of day and night. So that way your body can kind of stay on that particular thing. And, it was very difficult, staying light till 11 o'clock at night and then getting light again at 5 o'clock in the morning. But you have the opposite side of that where it's dark for most of the day. So yeah, the daylight lights are very helpful there. And then, they were, my nieces and nephew were involved in sports. So they would go to the sports arena where it was daylight, where it, simulated daylight and playing, soccer or softball or those type of things.
All great points, Diana. Thank you. Anybody is susceptible to depression, but we do know that women are twice as likely to get depressed than men. And some of the reasons are that they shoulder a lot of the burden for the holidays. They do a lot of the prep work. They do a lot of the errands or, whatever else. But what kind of specific advice can you give to women who allow themselves to get so stressed out and take on all this burden and then become depressed in either the immediate aftermath or right in the middle of the party?
Well, one thing I could say that women are more apt to actually admit that they're having some issues as opposed to men. So maybe that's one of the reasons why the women
good
are a little
point.
bit higher than
Very
men.
good point.
Yeah.
However, just in
Pound mail too.
I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Pound mail too. I don't know. I'm a sensitive man. I express myself. I feel like I've been pound mail too. I've been triggered.
Yes, and Steve's triggered.
Well,
So
and my husband as well.
See?
My husband, we are very blessed and fortunate that my husband stays home and he does all of these things as if, does all the shopping and, I get the schedule and he make this for this work and make this and this. And, it does affect all of us.
See?
What I could say is basically just kind of know what your limits are. And you have to be able to put boundaries up and say, you know what? I just can't do that today. Or, I would really love to spend some time with you, but I can't. And we don't really have to explain anything to anybody. It's just because we know what we need. And to overextend ourselves is a lot more toxic and unhealthy it is to not.
And that's taking care of yourself. I recently suffered an accident, had a concussion, and I've had to learn to say no and just suck it up and be okay with it. And it's tough, especially for type A personalities.
Absolutely. I am one of those type A personalities, and I never thought that I could actually relax. However,
yeah, what is that?
Francis Chan has this wonderful thing about men's and women's brains. It's this amazing thing. You can look it up on YouTube. But however, what it is just women, we constantly move. And we have these, triggers all the time. Our brain's moving 1,000 times a minute. Whereas men, not always have that. They can have what we call a nothing box. They can kind of sit there and not think about anything. And when I started my mindful practice, I have a postgraduate in mindfulness, and that's why I teach a lot of it, because you can be able to just think about nothing and be relaxed,
10 seconds.
and be comfortable with where you are. And again, that's why it's a lot of mindfulness. A lot of, or 90.
Good morning. Welcome to 1160 a.m. KBDT News Talk Sports. We're JP, Kathy, and the crew. We come to you live Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Today is Tuesday. It is the Mental Health Moment with the Morgan Foundation and Something for Kelly Foundation. We are very fortunate to have joining us today. We have Diana Lebrun with us today. She is calling in from Florida, the Refuge, a healing place. We love having all of our experts calling from all over the country, and we are fortunate to have her with us today. And a lot of good information as you get ready to gear up for the holidays, and a lot of good points. And, during the break, we talked about, and I'm just going to recap this and turn it back over, but we recapped the fact that, hey, a lot of times there could be a lot more pressure on women during the holidays where there's a lot more expectation and a lot more to get accomplished. And I said, pound male too, because there's a lot of men now that stay home and do the cooking and the cleaning and the preparation. And I really do think that there's a good blend. It's not that I don't think that there may be still more women out there that fade the heat, but I think that men are fading the heat as well. I really do think that that role has changed quite a bit.
I think that you're right, John. I think that we need to officially change the statistics, because I think it is true that more men are acknowledging it and they are being more forthright. And so I think that even though, as you say, it probably does still happen more predominantly with women, I think that men are feeling more comfortable, and we need to get over this stigma that we know is out there in mental health in general, just the conversation about people stepping up to the plate and saying, yeah, I struggle with it too.
Before we move on, Diana, I do have one quick question. Are you noticing any trends amongst millennials as the millennial group comes up? Because there's a lot that is out there on millennials, and I don't know that I see them stressing out about much of anything.
Well, I want to go back real quick to the men and women thing. I had one last thought with that. I mean, there's also pressure on the primary breadwinner to make the money in order to be able to provide with, the gifts or the food or whatever. So I don't want to leave that part out too, because that's an actual pressure as well. So, but moving on to the millennials, it's kind of difficult because they, in general, I know it's a stereotype and I hate to do that, but they are, it's about me. It's all about me kind of a thing, and everything revolves around me. I have two of those millennials, I have a 25 and a 23-year-old. However, just kind of changing perspectives with them as well. I do a lot of work around that, and it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to do everything that we do, and to know that you're not alone and that you do need help and things, and not everything is about you.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting as millennials take over and baby boomers fade out and Generation Xers and Yers fade out. It's going to be very, very interesting. So anyways, I know we like to get to what are some of the things we can do to really attack this and really have a good holiday season. So turn it back over to you, Patty and Steve.
So yes, we always like to end on a hopeful note. And I know that you've touched upon a lot of great ideas already, but additional thoughts around volunteering, participation, sharing, any other jewels that you have in your pocket there for staying positive.
Well, for me, I volunteer. I used to volunteer actually when I lived in South Florida. We used to feed the homeless. So to go out and, we collect backpacks and supplies and those type of things, just little things, soap and wash rags and socks for the homeless, or, volunteer at a soup kitchen, to kind of understand or kind of see that what you're going through may be tough, but there might be other people out there that might have it tougher. And what you can offer them might give them some joy to give you some joy.
A really great point. I think that sometimes people talk in terms of, I will donate when I have money to donate. I will do these things when I have time to do these things. And really, it's the other way around. If you make the time to do something for somebody else, it really does lift all boats, and it really does help to enhance your mood. So all of this advice, don't wait till you feel good enough to do it. Get out there and do it, and you will feel better.
I agree with that. And, I feel, in my opinion, that time is one of the most precious gifts that you can give someone, because we can't create more of it.
Well, amen to that. Cannot create more of it. That's for Diana. Thank you so much, and happy holidays to you and your family. Merry Christmas.
Christmas blessings.
And God bless you.
And thank you. God bless us well.
All right. We want to thank Acadia for providing us with our expert this morning. We want to thank Chris Getz specifically for being on top of it and helping us get it done here at the Mental Health Moment. Want to thank Patty and Steve. Thank you again, as always.
You're welcome. So it's always a joy.
It's so cheerful to see you, Patty.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
It's great to
singled out Patty and not Steve.
And Steve.
Oh, and Steve. He's already aggressive.
There maybe have to be a titty twister involved in that somewhere. Christmas. Just kidding. Anyway, I think I got a look. I may have gotten in trouble. All right. Hey, listen, real quick. Your Signal Alert Doc traffic report, real quick. You got a report accident on Addison at Keller Springs and the tollway, and then also again on 183. So be safe. And we got a freeze alert for tonight.
32 degrees.
Happy day. Good hat.
Yeah, it's you, Stephen. I like the little bells.
I do
They're
too.
fun.
And
Nice
are
touch.
we
They're
back up on
we are
Facebook
back
You
Live?
are.
on
Yeah, you are.
Facebook.
Okay,
On the Facebook.
next week on the Mental Health Moment, we have Stephen Vasquez. He's a therapist, counselor.
Yes.
And Patty, he's going to talk about.
He is going to talk with us about spirituality and the mental health moment and how transformative a healthy mental spiritual connection can be to your life.
Love it.
And I'm very much looking forward to working with him next week. It's going to be a great show.
Excellent. Excellent.
And that is on Christmas Eve day. Are we allowed to say Christmas on air? Or is that
Yes.
We're a
Oh,
Christian radio station.
We're big,
Okay,
we're big
yeah.
old Merry Christmas and Christmas Eve and all that.
No,
Yes.
great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve morning.
Absolutely.
And again, as I don't say often enough, thank you to Kathy Ward and JP
Oh
for
my goodness,
allowing
you're
us
more
to
than
have
welcome.
a venue to bring these people on. We've received a number of thank yous, through private emails and Twitter and Facebook Live and all that. And we try to get your name out there as much as we can. We're so excited about this next year as well. Some incredible things.
Thank y'all. We're so excited to be part of this and bring this conversation to where it's okay to talk about it. And more, that's what I'm hearing people say, like, hey, thank y'all for making this a thing on Tuesdays. And even people who, if this impacts somebody and we never know about it, it's all good.
That's right.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome.
As I like to say, it's about the power of the message and not the image of the messenger. We just have to
You got it.
stay
Agree.
on that good point.
Agree.
Absolutely. Yep.
Agree.
And so that's all.
Yay.
That's it for today.
Everybody have a blessed day.
By
We'll
the
see
way,
you tomorrow.
One last thing,
Yes,
if anybody's last minute Christmas gifts, bow ties, always work, shoes. I've got
and donations to the
Chocolate
Morgan
wine.
Foundation
Chocolate
and to something for
wine.
Kelly.
Yeah. Financial donations.
Chocolate wine or chocolate and wine.
Chocolate and wine.
Okay, there you go. Or chocolate wine.
With a bowl of chocolate chili.
I don't know. Oh, hey, here's Miss Texas doing her talent last night. She's so great.
She's pretty great. All right.
All
We
right.
love you, Chandler.
Facebook, take care. God bless. We will see you. I'll be traveling tomorrow. You will have Sid and Kathy. And then I will be back on Thursday.
Oh, and Dr. Dave.
With Dr. Dave
Dr.
tomorrow
Dave.
as well. And Hook'em Horns.
Keep those horns out. There you go.
There you go. And we
Mwah.
Are
Love y'all. Have a great
officially-
day.
out.
Oh, Deborah Keys. Mwah.
Oh, he bleeped it.
Who believed it?
John David Wells.
Bleeped
Good
it.
job, John David Wells.